the element, the organization of collaboration was the Zigzag Cycle Club. That's what Fletcher, Allison, Fisher, Wheeler, Newby belonged to. That group did what they called century rides. They rode from Indianapolis to Bloomington and back one day, 100-mile ride on the late 1800s roads. Newby built the fastest quarter-mile track in the world, the Newby Oval, which was at 30th and Central. And one of the big inventions in this area was the so-called safety bicycle. That's the bicycle that had same size wheels front and back, and then it had a chain that moved the rear. Well, Newby formed the Diamond Chain Company, which is still here in Indianapolis today. And that chain was the main powertrain technology for bicycles. And later it was for cars and airplanes. Then there was the Ohio gang. The Wright brothers had a bike shop, and you might have thought a bicycle shop, or they're just making something for a ride down to the supermarket. No. They were making these competitive bikes. That Wright bicycle in 1898 sold for $1,100, today's dollars. And that was their cycle company. And they became sales agents for the Diamond Chain Company here in Indianapolis for Newby. The Wright Flyer, the original airplane, had 7 diamond chains on it. That, down in the Smithsonian right now, there's 7 diamond chains on that were made right here in Indianapolis. And then there were the cycling club outlaws. Bertie Munger was the cycling champion of the late 1800s. He was the Lance Armstrong of his day. He rode a bicycle coast to coast. He built bikes in Indianapolis, and competitively, his driver was Major Taylor, Marshall W. Taylor, who was, Taylor earned $20,000 a day racing bicycles. He was so good, he was outlawed on this Newby track. They wouldn't let him run because he just beat everybody. So he went off to New England where he lived. There's a picture of his family. He was a very well-off guy. So the common racing interest of the crowd became eventually motor racing. And the venue became the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which we are celebrating now, our 100th anniversary. That's the first race in 1911. And some of you attended the first electric vehicle race there just a few weeks ago. I know, David, you were there as IUPUI won the race. So, well, then we get into this area of 1911 to 1996, and Central Indiana became the electrical capital of automotive electricity. GM, Ford, and Chrysler all produced their electrical generators and starter motors here. And the center of development for all General Motors battery work was located in Anderson, Castleton, and Fishers. And the first automotive systems using semiconductors were produced here. The first automotive systems using microprocessors were produced here. So electricity was very important to the development. This may seem like a bit of a sidetrack, but one of the forms of collaboration was a not-for-profit company called ElectroCore, which was started at IUPUI in 1993. It was a part of the Advanced Tech Consortium at IUPUI. And the members included Delco Remy, Delco Electronics, Allison Transmission, Allison Gas Turbine, Indianapolis Power and Light, Public Service Indiana, Synergy, AeroVironment, Naval Surface Warfare Center, and a number of other universities. And ElectroCore organized government energy projects, which resulted in today's dollars, over $250 million in cost-shared projects during the 90s. Much of this work was directed at the development of the EP40 and EP50, the electric variable transmission at Allison. And the downsized version of that are used in GM's Escalade, Tahoe, and other hybrids, and used in the BMW and Chrysler hybrids. Equipped with Remy International Motors, and that's made Allison and Remy and Central Indiana the leading producers of EV and HEV components in North America. Most everything else in this country is imported from Japan, mostly. Work continues today on solid oxide fuel cells at Delphi through this organization. The venue, where did this happen? Well, it happened at 410 West 10th Street, not very far from where we are right now. That was a building where Arthur and Louis Chevrolet developed racing engines for Indianapolis, the so-called Fronte Ford engines. And if you didn't have a Fronte Ford engine, you were not competitive at a certain era there in Indianapolis. It was later bought by Carl Grumman, who became a good friend of mine, and it was the site of the development of the Delco-Remy maintenance-free battery technology in the early 70s. And as the business with GM developed, Carl had to move his business to the hinterlands in Castleton in the early 70s. And that's the campus of buildings in Castleton today. That's where the powertrain for the EV1 was developed. The Allison electric variable transmission was developed there. And today it's the home of Enerdell, General Motors powertrain, and Allison, with about 500 people working on powertrain technology and related alternative energy products and systems. Maybe as many as any place in the country. Now, Carl delivered newspapers to the Chevrolet family. Actually, the three Chevrolet brothers are buried in, Kevin, what's that? Holy Cross Cemetery here in Indianapolis. And he dated Jim Allison's daughter. And he discussed these events with Donald Davidson, the track historian. And he's shown here with a brick from the Speedway that Louis Chevrolet left in the building at West 10th Street. I just love these. So, did I skip one? Key inventions which made central Indiana a nexus of electrical power in the 21st century were, or for the 21st century, were the electric variable transmission and its derivatives, co-invented by Mike Schmidt and Don Clement. Some of you out there know them, of the Allison Transmission Division. They worked in a rented trailer on Carl Grumman's campus in Castleton. And the associated motor generator products at Remy International in Pendleton, and the development of power electronics converters and battery pack systems at Delphi and Kokomo, and the battery and battery systems at Enerdell in Castleton and Alternano in Anderson. Beyond, who are the collaborative agents going to be? I suggest the Lugar Center for Renewable Energy is one of those collaborative agents. The Energy Systems Network of Paul Mitchell, the Indiana Advanced EV Training and Education Consortium, which is led by Purdue and Ivy Tech and several other universities. The Flagship Enterprise Center in Anderson, which is, I sport their logo, I'm on their board. The Meridian Institute, the Sagamore Institute, the Lacey Leadership Association, the Anderson Leadership Academy, the Central Indiana Corporate Partnership, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, ElectroCorps, IUPUI, Purdue, Notre Dame, Rose-Hulman, Ivy Tech, and other academic institutions. As a postscript, I say perhaps the most significant invention of automotive history was Kettering's SLI system. It allowed motors to generate electricity wherever they went, generate it, store it, and use it for many purposes. It's the technology that allowed cars to become ubiquitous and drivable by anyone. I suggest the most significant invention in this period of 96 to 2011 were the EV and HEV powertrains that allow motors to generate electricity wherever they go at levels more powerful than required in their homes and offices. As these vehicles with these very powerful electrical systems become part of the electrical grid, they will reshape the world. The cloud must collaborate, invent, develop, commercialize. You are the cloud. It's electricity stupid. It's what Indiana is all about. Thank you.